Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Gill here. In this video today, I'm going to go over with you what you need to be working on to get your geography work completed in weeks 1 of week 2 of this term. So this document here is the one that I have emailed out to everyone. Most people that have sent me back their feedback so far have been downloading this and saving it into their files. That way they can type directly into the worksheet and send me back the answers for some really quick feedback. If the internet and downloading is being a problem for you, some of you have picked up a paper copy from the office. And if you do need a paper copy, I have spare ones down there that you can come and pick up. I don't mind if you do it on paper or online. It's just if you do it online, I can easily give you quicker feedback through email. So, week 1 and week 2, our topic for geography is what makes a good life. And this topic for this term is continuing on with our general focus on well-being. However, this term we're more specifically looking at our war-torn countries and how the idea of civil war impacts well-being. So we're looking at countries that have a lot of civil issues and how is their well-being tracked and how are we going to improve that or what is already being done to help those countries. In terms of your time for geography, I do have a rough layout here of what I would expect you to be working on in week 1 and then also in week 2. So in terms of geography, if you were at school, if this was a normal term, we would usually spend an hour and a half a week on geography. So I would suggest that it should not take you any more than 3 hours over 2 weeks to get this stuff done. If you finish your stuff early, I've given you some extra tasks down here that you can have a look at if you want to keep working on your geography and you've caught up on everything else. So the following activities go through both week 1 and week 2. I'm going to do this video just on this week 1 part, and then I'll explain week 2 in a second video. So let's have a look at our week 1 activities and see what you need to do. So first thing we're going to start off with in this unit is a review of well-being, and we're looking at these indicators that we looked at last term. So we have social, political, economic, environmental, and I've also added on technological as a category this term because we're looking at how do we fix these countries in the 21st century. So we've added on that modern category there to help us. What you need to do here is to highlight the key terms that match the indicators, and I've done the social example for you. The second thing we're going to look at in week 1 is comparing Australia with some countries we've looked at already last term. So you're going to be looking at, is Australia better off or worse off compared to the other country? So for example, life expectancy here, we can see that in the Australia column, we have 82 years as an average of our life expectancy. Comparing that to Africa, Sierra Leone, they only live for an average of 46 years. Are we better off or worse? Definitely better off, so we would put a B in that box there. Moving on, we're looking at the idea of poverty. We talked about this a little bit last term, but we haven't seen a map or a graph like this. So this map is designed to look this way. It is meant to look not like your average map. The size of the country indicates how much poverty is there, or the percentage of poverty based upon their GNI. So what is their average yearly wage, and is that making people underneath the poverty line? So this map is based upon US dollars. The higher or the bigger the size of the country, the more people in that country live on less than $1.25 a day. You can see that Africa, of course, is our biggest in size. America and South America here quite small. And of course, this is actually Australia here, very, very skinny, because hardly any Australians live on less than $1.25 a day. Answering those questions there based upon the information in the graph. Now, the graph above looking at poverty focuses on money, but we know that money does not necessarily mean that you are happy or that you have a good life. These questions here look at the Hdi scale. We looked at Hdi last term and we realized that education, life expectancy, literacy, and income, all of those four pieces of data together make up a Hdi score for a country. Now, HDI, however, does not recognize things like pollution or stress levels, things that are actually quite important to our modern life. And these questions are asking you to think about in a deeper way, should we be including a happiness scale or a pollution scale within HDI to truly understand the well-being level of a country. Down here, we're looking at the children. Now, we haven't talked about children very much in our last unit, but they're going to come up a lot, especially in these war-torn countries that experience civil war. This information here talks about what are the rights that every child should have. This is according to the United Nations. So in theory, every child born in the world should have access to these rights, but of course we know that's not always true. We've got some questions there that you need to answer based upon this list. Next of all, we're looking at a map that color codes the rankings. So these rankings are basically a child's risk of losing some of these rights that they are meant to have. We've got them in categories here. So the colors of the countries actually tell you the percentage of children that are working, which goes against child labor rights. And it goes against what children should be able to do. Children should not have to work, and they should definitely not have to be forced to go to war as a war soldier. Down here, we've looked at some specific countries. So we have the top 7, and this gives more detail about what is actually happening to children in those countries. Your job for those 7 countries up here is to highlight and color code what is happening. So if a country uses children for war purposes, you need to highlight that in blue. If they're using children for labor, for farming or for manufacturing, that would be yellow. If they're using children for sexual purposes or sex trafficking, then you need to highlight that in green. I've given you one example of each just to show you what to do. So you need to go through and highlight the rest of the uses of child labor there. Based upon that, you've then got some questions to think about child exploitation in a little bit of a deeper level. Now down here, when we get into poverty in sub-Saharan Africa, that's actually your week 2 work. So if you wanted to continue on with and get all your geography done in one time, that's completely fine, keep going, but this video is only going to be talking about your week 1 goals. So if you have any questions about your week 1 stuff, please email me. If your email's not working, call the school. I'm happy to talk to you over the phone and give you as much help as you need. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon.